We'll just get started. Thank you, Dr. Bhartwal and Dr. Mangaonkar, for being here. So today, what we're going to talk about is quite important to the advancement of quantum technologies in India. And this session, as some of you are familiar with, is part of our Quantum Pulse series done by QETCI, Quantum Ecosystems and Technology Council of India. I am a policy fellow with QETCI. My name is Padmapriya. Just before this, I just finished my master's where I studied quantum information sciences and technology at Delft. Before we get into the questions and before we start discussing today's theme, which is the role of the allied sector in quantum technologies, if Dr. Bhartwal and Dr. Mangaonkar, you can briefly introduce yourselves and also what Q Labs and Q Prayog do, that would be really nice for the audience.
Yeah. So shall I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Priya. First, I'd like to thank QATCI for inviting me for this particular session. I'm Dr. Sachin Barthwal, and I head the quantum technology practice at Quantum AI Global Q Labs. And I did my PhD from University of Hyderabad, and then I had the chance of working at Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, at the first atomic physics lab in India, I'll say, working with late Professor Vasan Natarajan and learning the tricks of the trade from currently he's a professor at ISER Pune, Professor Umakant Rapol. And then I did a few postdocs, and then I was at Georgia Tech. I was at Wuhan Institute of Physics and Mathematics just before the COVID happened. And I was actually working for in a gravimeter, which is the tallest gravimeter in the world. It's about 10-meter high, where we were basically launching rubidiums, the two rubidium isotopes, and seeing how differently they fall down, and thus measuring the gravity and doing the weak equivalence principle test, basically. And I joined Quantum AI Global Q Labs in 2024. Here, our main focus area is to work on the two main verticals of quantum technology. One is quantum communication, and the second one is quantum sensing. So, quantum communication, as properly, people who have been following our company's progress, we are the first to do a quantum memory in India for the first time. And this basically works on a rubidium vapor cell. And we have a EPS QKD system as well, where we generate entangled photons and then use them for basically doing the whole quantum key distribution protocol. And apart from this, we have been recently interested in doing some quantum sensing as well, where we are trying to make magnetometers, or basically using the quantum property of the atoms, specifically rubidium and cesium, and major various physical parameters like magnetic field or electric field and other things. Yeah, so that's what it is from my side.
Thank you so much. Also, what interesting research. I hope we get to speak about it a little bit in our conversation.
Yeah, can I go now?
Yeah.
Yeah, myself, Dr. Jay Mangaonkar. So I'm the co-founder and CEO at QPro Private Limited. We are an NQM-funded startup at iHub Quantum Technology Foundation, ISER Pune, and our mandate is to build optical atomic clocks and optical frequency combs. We'll be building free space frequency combs, fiber combs, and atomic clocks. My background is in experimental atomic physics, particularly in cold atom and cold ions. So I did my PhD in ISER Pune under Professor Umakant Rapol. I was on the rubidium BEC experiment, and from then I did my postdoc at PTB Germany, where I was working on strontium optical atomic clocks, portable atomic clocks. And after coming back to India, I was working as a postdoc. I was working on quantum information processing using trapped calcium ions, again with Professor Umakant Rapol. And so that's my background. Looking forward to a great discussion. And I again thank QETCI for inviting me for this talk and for this discussion. So, yeah, that's from me.
Thank you so much for your introduction. Again, I see there are some overlaps that hopefully we can get into. But so the topic for today for the audience is the role of the allied sector in the advancement of quantum technologies. And as we know, it's not the physics or the quantum technology alone that is enough to build a robust industry or ecosystem, but then there's a lot of work in the optics, the cryogenics, if required, the specialty fibers, ultra-high vacuum systems, all of these other components which compose a sort of allied industries. So that's what we want to talk about today. And so to start the conversation off, I'd like to ask you, Dr. Bhartwal, um, how would you define the allied industry for quantum technologies? And are these defense, telecom, healthcare? Who do you work with? Who is your most immediate customer and supplier? So could you give us like a brief overview?
Okay, so as I was telling before, also like our one of the main vertical which we have been working mainly on is communication, the quantum communication, and so this caters to the communication domain of the thing, like so telecom and that sector. So we are trying to actually build a platform for what is called as quantum internet, basically. So, and two of the main ingredients in this are quantum memories, which basically comprises of storing a photon inside the system for certain amount of time, so that we can basically synchronize them. When we talk of like entangled photons, so if you are using both the photons for communication, we need to synchronize them basically, and that's where the quantum memories are useful. But then the problem here is the communication happens at 1550 nanometers. But then what we are doing, the storing is happening at about 800 nanometers, 795 nanometers to be precise, which is the D1 line for rubidium atoms. So the one of the we have been recently funded by NQM for this particular endeavor, where we are trying to extend this quantum memory, which actually works at 795 nanometers, to extend it to 1550 nanometers, so that we can basically put this into the current paraphernalia of the telecom domain, in the telecom domain. And the bigger advantage is to basically the 1550 nanometers, it doesn't gets degraded very much. The attenuation is much higher for 795 nanometers, so that cannot be actually used for communication. That's why we use 1550. So that's one of the main thing. And then there is other thing which we work on is what is called the EPS QKT, where we generate entangled photon sources using a nonlinear crystal, which is basically done by a laser which we use, and then we generate entangled photons, and then we do the quantum key distribution, the whole protocol. So the whole idea of this is to basically encrypt the messages which we are which are being communicated between the two parties which are communicating. So these are the two things which we work on in quantum communication. And the other thing, as I said, like the quantum sensing part, where we are working on magnetometers, which are very important in terms of if I talk of these migratory birds, which we know they travel all the way from Siberia and other places to some part of Indian subcontinent. So their migration actually happens using these magnetic, they basically sense the magnetic maps of the Earth, and that's how they get their direction. So magnetic field measurement is very important for doing this kind of navigation. Other than that, there are important magnetic signals which basically run inside our bodies when we have say blood is flowing inside my body, or there are neural signals going from brain to various parts of my body. And these fields are also important for to like basically to understand the health of these like organs of the like human organs or like any other particular this thing. So these are important for disease detection and all.
Mm-hmm.
So this caters to the healthcare sector of the like healthcare industry and medical
Mm-hmm.
diagnostics industry. So these are the two main focus areas where we are working on. And then other than that, I'll just mention like one of the main ingredients of these any of these quantum technology is the lasers. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
we have recently developed what are called external cavity diode lasers, the ECDLs,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
are narrowband diode lasers, which can basically be used for doing these EPS QKD kind of experiment, or even more precise experiments like doing magnetometry and like Rydberg sensing and other like such this thing, because they can basically talk to the hyperfine levels of the
Mm-hmm.
atoms, and
Mm-hmm.
that line width is typically of the order of 1 megahertz or lesser. And
Mm-hmm.
we have recently developed this. So these are the three things which we are mainly like working on. And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah,
Okay, that gives me quite an idea of the kind of industries you will eventually or you currently are working
yes,
with. Dr.
yes.
Mangaonkar, what would it be for QPryog? Is because you also work on similar technologies, but then also different in certain ways.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, as we envision, the allied sector part comprises of course, defense, telecom, and space.
Mm-hmm.
So we are developing something called as frequency combs and
Mm-hmm.
optical clocks. So uh, there is a use case for atomic clocks. Atomic clocks have already have an impact in our daily lives,
Mm-hmm.
from GPS navigation to controlling timings in very demanding computing tasks and telecommunication tasks,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So, but there are now better versions of atomic clocks available, which are uh, about 100 to 1,000 times better in stability compared to
Mm-hmm.
the traditional ones.
I see.
So these will have use cases in terms of making the communication technology better. It
Mm-hmm.
will also have use cases in data center operations, especially now with the advent of this age of AI, where computations have to be run parallelly. Synchronization demands can be really very demanding, and the precision in timing provided by optical atomic clocks uh, can elevate and make new use cases in these sectors.
Mm-hmm.
And for it the frequency comb technology can also be will also be of help in improving the radar performance by being able to synthesize microwaves which are derived in stability from optical standards. So it will
Mm-hmm.
make better radars in future, and
Mm-hmm.
also in space sector. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if you have a probe which is required to communicate in deep space, the probe
Mm-hmm.
will need to have a really good atomic clock on board, because it needs to run tasks in synchronization with what the Earth's command center is doing. So
Mm-hmm.
the onboard computer has to execute certain tasks in synchronization, and it will need to have a really good holdover time compared to the Earth. The next generation atomic clocks that
Mm-hmm.
we are developing at QPro will enable these technologies to
Mm-hmm.
mature.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Okay,
that will be
okay, excellent. So what I'm hearing is the
yeah.
main industries or sectors that are going to be most relevant to the products that you offer are defense, telecom, healthcare, space, but then also not in allied sector, but also other quantum technology companies are very relevant. Now, the Niti Aayog's roadmap describes deployment of quantum technologies across these sectors. It predicts that this will happen by 2035. But if we're talking about early adoption, do you believe this will come from government, from industry? What is the nuance here? Dr. Bhartwal, if you can start us off.
So we one of the main like industry which I feel will get affected the first is the health sector, because this directly caters to the common man, the health, which is the like one of the main aspect here. Then because from going from medical diagnostics to various disease detections, or like even doing certain like experiments in the lab which were not possible before, in terms of because we are able to measure like very minuscule magnetic fields to like attotesla kind of a precision. And so like this is one of the main area. And then what the government currently is doing is like to having these these thematic hubs for like say for instance quantum sensing is at IIT Bombay. So like this is the structure where these thematic hubs are the center point of the fundamental research happening there. And then they in turn connect to various startups, one of the startup is us also. So we are actually connected to thematic hub at IIT Madras, which is the communication thematic hub. So so this the first part of the funding or the first part of the effort comes from the government side, which basically forms the kind of environment which generates these initial POCs, like a proof of concept kind of ideas and all. And then going little further, then that's where the companies like us come in play, where we try to get these ideas from them, or like make them relevant changes in them, and then make it more suited to the make it commercialized, basically those ideas, make it as a product finally. Yeah. So the funding is coming first is coming from the government, in terms of like NQM and other things. And then it is coming down to the companies who are getting funded, or with our own funding and all. We are trying to do this, develop these commercial products at the end of the, which basically goes down to the what is used in the society, basically.
Okay, I understand. So, given it is quite early research still, we start off,
Yes.
the government is the largest support. And Dr. Mangaonkar?
And
oh yeah, please continue.
Yeah. Just one more. Another important thing here is we do work on what is called PQC, the post quantum on this thing. There also we need to actually work on the aspect that there might be some there is huge problem coming up, in the sense of once these quantum computers are coming, then all these there'll be problems in the classical algorithms which we are using. So we need to work on those aspects as well. So that has to come up sometime soon. Like we have to work on these kind of aspects as well.
Okay. You touch upon a very important thing. And before I pass it on to you, Dr. Mangaonkar, so cybersecurity, for instance, would be a sector that is not necessarily only a customer, but then also needs to be aligned quite a bit, even in the development of quantum technologies. Got it. Dr. Mangaonkar, what does the earliest meaningful adoption look like for you?
Yeah, so in general, saying that the early adoption is already happening. For example, not particularly talking about QPrayog, but in general about quantum technologies. The magnetometer that this Australian company called Q Control is deployed is already producing results which are 100 times better in navigation, GPS-free navigation compared to compared to other conventional means. And then even in the health sector, the magnetometers are helping for various heart detection and brain anomaly detection. Uh, and yeah, so for us, the early adoption, or rather the first customers will be coming from uh, telecommunication and defense sector, and also in the finance sector where things like for for it to happen. So yeah, so in terms of meaningful early adoption, I think it's already happening. And the role that the government actually has to play in this is for a lot of things like atomic clocks. The technology cost that is to be sunk initially is quite high. And the government is actually doing a pretty good role by funding both startups and academia into driving this mission forward. And this support will be required as it will time for the startups to reach a commercial phase where the demand and volumes can be reasonable enough to for sustained growth to happen. So till then, uh, following the example a lot of the way that a lot of quantum startup success stories have been across the globe. For example, in the US, in Australia, all of these startups are heavily funded by the defense and by the government under a huge uh, quantum schemes budget. So
Right.
that will help any startup to be able to concentrate on going from the proof of concept stage to a good product stage,
I
uh,
see.
which can be then implemented uh, nicely.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, so government procurement, uh, the early adoption should actually also happen by or this will be ideal if there are early adopters from the government for the products. That will actually enable the startup to have early revenue, uh, because it might take time for commercial refinement to happen for industry to absorb this. Uh, and the government is positioned in a much better financial situation to at least buy uh, the first few products that any quantum startup will deliver.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very insightful. And I think to follow up, also because Dr. Bhartwal, you mentioned this, when we talk about early adoption, there is also the idea of sort of co-developing the product itself based on the feedback. And here I want to ask you both specifically about standards, certifications, regulatory considerations, these aspects, because for every sector, things can be different based on the application. Both of you have mentioned healthcare, which I can imagine has very varied standards and very different concerns compared to telecom or defense or finance. So can you shed light a little bit on how this co-development of standards or just co-development of the products is happening from a standards and certification perspective for these varied industries?
Uh, so as far as the health sector is concerned, there are already standards and protocols which have been uh, around for like quite some time. And in terms of like the crypto this thing is concerned, NIST has given certain standards which are to be kind of followed world over for like various encryptions and other things.
Mm-hmm.
So like these are like some of the aspects which are important, and then like even for like defense and other things as well. So there are certain not say certifications, but like some kind of standards are there already in place.
Right.
So this we have to like follow in terms of like when we are doing these developing these new products. But then there'll be other things also will be coming up. The certificate like more things, because quantum technology itself is a very different kind of a very different technology, which was compared to the existing classical domain. So we need
Mm-hmm.
to, so there'll be certain new things will be coming up as well, like as far as standardization is concerned, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Dr. Mangaonkar, and can I also ask you to comment, Dr. Mangaonkar, on how you deal with just the diversity in the industries that you're working with?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
regarding certifications and standards, a lot of quantum applications, for example, the atomic clock is the standards are already pretty much in place because it's a very good uh, oscillator, and standards and practices for certifying a good oscillator are already pretty mature. Uh,
Mhm.
and that goes for a lot of sensing devices as well. So the field to be sensed, it is pretty. For example, a magnetometer, uh, be it quantum or classical, will need to perform with regard to a particular spec sheet. Uh,
Mhm.
so that is it in place for a lot of applications. But
Mhm.
as Dr. Sachin rightly mentioned, there are applications which are very new, and the capabilities can only be delivered by quantum, where a
Mhm.
thought needs to be put in, and such a effort has already started by the Standards Bureau of India. So, regarding the varied applications that are there in the industry, uh,
Mhm.
uh, for a startup like QPrayog, we are concentrating on the applications that can be enabled or that can unlock an industrial level use case,
Mhm.
uh, which may not be like it will provide benefits compared to the classical operation, uh, and it may not be very varied in. For example, let's say we are developing something called as a frequency comb,
Mhm.
and the frequency comb has a varied application which doesn't need the atomic clock component to it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we are concentrating on use cases uh, which can be dealt with early on. For example,
Mhm.
gas sensing and stuff.
Mhm.
So when the optical atomic clock will be delivered, that those will be filling in those niche applications where a quantum performance is really what makes the difference. Uh, so yeah, not going for a very broad range of applications initially will allow us to focus on excelling at a specific application initially,
Mhm.
to make commercial viability possible, and for the
Mhm.
startup to survive those early hard years where the funding is fortunately the funding is not an issue now, but
Mhm.
yeah, we have to be sustainable initially, cater to an industry which allows us to be financially sustainable, and
Mhm.
then like then also parallelly think about uh, quantum applications where that kind
Mhm.
of performance is really required.
Hmm. Dr. Bhatwal, Q Labs is a bit, Quantum AI Global Q Labs is a bit further down the journey. Do you have anything to add to what Dr. Mangaonkar just said?
uh, so as I was telling before as well, like this is like a very new sector, new field, and like things are evolving, like so as such there are no very like existing standards in this particular field, but like they'll come up as and when the various applications come into play. Like so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now if we let's take, for example, telecom, and specifically, I want to talk about actually the question of cybersecurity. Because everybody very popularly, the most popular use case, or not use case really, but the most popular disruption that quantum computers are predicted to bring about, especially after the recent just last week's breakthroughs from Google and the startup from Caltech. There is this uh, harvest now, decrypt later threat, right? Of where a malicious entity can store all your data today, and then later, when a quantum computer powerful enough is available, they are able to decrypt your data because the quantum computer enables them to break current encryption standards. So I want to ask, in order to prepare for such an eventuality, first of all, how prepared are Indian enterprises? And then what role do startups like yourselves play versus these large IT services companies like Wipro, Tech Mahindra, TCS?
Yeah. So, as you rightly said, like it is very important to like be aware of the kind of, I'll say, imminent threat to
Mhm,
the kind of encryption which we are using in our day-to-day lives, like be it finance, be it logistics, be it other verticals, telecom included. We actually need to incorporate tools which can basically understand the vulnerabilities of these then put them under like a more secure kind of a this thing paraphernalia, and then kind of be to be prepared for like as in when this quantum threat or like quantum element like technology do really come into like in the day-to-day life.
mhm,
So that is one thing. So I'll just mention one of our products,
mhm,
what we call as Q Forte. So we
mhm,
have this product which can basically like find out the vulnerabilities of the thing in terms of we have a like a sub product in this bouquet is
mhm,
what you call a check queue, which can
mhm,
basically understand the vulnerability of the systems, see the kind of algorithms which are being used, and like are they strong enough to be sustaining the quantum attack or like the kind of the attack which we are expecting from the developing technology. And
mhm,
then we have a thing called QSLEEVE, which basically makes a paraphernalia of like if you are doing it like one place with other place, like so having a kind of a quantum VPN which can
mhm,
basically secure the communication happening between two this thing. And then as all of us know, like these communications do happen with like the encryption basically happens with doing what are called random number generators. And
right.
so, like simplest thing is our like OTP pins, which we get from our banks
Mhm,
and all for financial transactions. So we do have a quantum random number generator. Is a software-based random number generator, which is more like a hardware independent entity. So
mhm,
all these three together can basically tell an entity, are you vulnerable to the quantum attack? And then what are the precautions to be taken? And how do we do that? And then the encryption is happening using the quantum RNG. So these are the things. So right now, what I'll say is like there are some adoption of these things happening slowly, but
mhm,
we are still in the phase of like various industries are still in the phase of like basically listing the vulnerabilities. And
mhm,
like so we have to like move forward in these cases, like see like one of our like client is like where we are deploying this tool what we call as Q Forte is one of the educational institutes. So which so using it to kind of encrypt the communication which they are doing within the various centers and all. So these are the things which we have to work upon more fast and reliably, so that our financial transactions, our financial sector can be more safer in the coming years.
Right, right. That makes sense. And also it makes sense to me from the post-quantum cryptography side, but also the quantum key distribution approach that's being
Yes.
adopted that you're also working on.
Mhm.
Dr. Mangaonkar, so what I understand is QPryog and the titanium doped sapphire lasers that you have, they are also essential components to a QKD system, or they can be. From that perspective, can you tell us a little bit about the state of QKD hardware and how they compare to the PQC approach?
Dr. Sachin already is an expert, and he already pretty much nicely explained about this. Regarding the role of the products that QProg is developing in QKD, primarily the frequency combs don't directly have are not the preferred approach to do this quantum key distribution, as far as I know. They are
Okay.
more, they can be an allied, play an allied role. For example, in terms of synchronization, the frequency comb can actually is a big component or a key component of optical atomic clocks, which can help probably help. I think Dr. Sachin might answer this in a better way. But if they can help in synchronization between different quantum nodes between two such QKD systems, but I yeah, I don't directly know of an application for QKD, at least in frequency combs.
Okay.
Yeah, this can change, of course, in future, because frequency combs are a preferred way, or femtosecond lasers rather, are a preferred way of distributing picosecond timing across networks. So this may come in handy when a quantum encrypted distribution is happening.
Right, right. I can imagine if we have a multi-node quantum internet then, and if we're trying to do protocols like quantum secret sharing, which is also quite relevant to security, then I can imagine how these would be quite important to
Yeah.
synchronize. But since we've heard the mention of the area of finance, I would like to quickly move on to that sector. Because the Niti Aayog roadmap, there is also a mention for sector-specific sandboxes. In the context of finance, can you tell us what a quantum sandbox might look like for um, an Indian financial services company, a bank? Who would fund it? Who would be involved? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Really, I'm not the right person to talk on this, but I'll just give my
Yeah.
little understanding of the subject. So so the basically the finance sector again is the main important part here is the encryption part, like where you are communicating between two nodes or any two points. It has to be encrypted properly. If it is not encrypted, you'll lose data, you'll lose money, you'll so that way. So the first thing is to basically have so sandbox is nothing but more like a test bed kind of a thing where we can test these. So what I was talking about, the kind of product we have called Q4 is these are the kind of tests. These kind of things are the ones which kind of provide a test bed or a sandbox for doing checking out these kind of vulnerabilities of systems, like a banking system or a big educational institution or some such thing. So these are the kind of test beds which are done. And then like these are like more IT specific. I'll say the more AI driven tools. I'll say. So these need to be worked upon more rigorously, and then these needs to be aligned with the NIST standards as well. Like so, we need to like take inputs from the like standardizing entities like NIST and other entities, and so like this will probably provide a more like a test bed for doing these financial transactions. And so like big in this case, like companies like us or like even bigger companies like IT companies like TCS, Wipro, as you named them before, they can also like be part of it. And then this can be moved on to like banking sectors, like for their day-to-day transactions or things like that. And so we have these test beds, and then we can migrate to like in the actual real life. How does it work in like banking or even other education institutions and other things? So like uh, but like government has to kind of promote these aspect, and then like have to have certain timelines or deadlines for these these are very critical sectors like say telecom, finance, and defense especially, where we need to move fast, much faster than what is actually happening right now. So government also have to come up with certain deadlines, timelines for to be various these various entities to be adherent with the post quantum cryptography scenario. Like
Got
yeah.
it. And Dr. Mangankar, since now Dr. Barthwal, you've mentioned defense again, and optical clocks have direct applications in defense. What does this timeline look like? Could you tell us a little bit about that from QPrio's perspective?
So you're talking about the timeline to deployment of such technologies?
Right. The
Okay.
co-development and then the eventual deployment.
Yeah. So the timeline for optical clock development is looking something in terms of a few years. So uh, first, first we are concentrating on deployment of the frequency comb, and then parallelly working on the physics package. So this will take approximately uh,
I think, Dr. Mangankar, you've broken off there.
sorry, I think
Oh, yeah.
my voice might have gotten cut off. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
now we can hear
so
you.
yeah. Okay. So that places that this will be really useful is again in telecommunications and data center operations, and in defense, anywhere where you are relying on GPS to for timing synchronization. In the absence of a GPS signal, for example, these signals can be easily jammed, or they can be they can be compromised in other fashions. So in that scenario, there is nothing really out there that can tell you the timing, which is as precise as an atomic clock. So if you have a onboard atomic clock which can preserve that synchronization till you synchronize with the GPS signal again, that will be the use case. And places like submarines uh, where where you don't have GPS access uh, for several days to several weeks. For the nuclear submarines, at least, they can stay submerged for really extended periods of time. So, in such places, the deployment of a next generation of atomic clocks will really play a key role.
I see. And these applications or these areas, for example, in GPS denied um, conditions that you're speaking about, they seem like they're rather niche applications. Can I ask you to follow up on what the biggest challenges are in the eventual deployment? And if you could also comment on this more generally. So make it more about the challenges with deploying quantum hardware in any allied sector, and then perhaps Dr. Barthwal can follow up after what you've said.
So deploying these technologies in any allied sector lies with how sensitive. At the end of the day, you are dealing with a quantum phenomena that is being harnessed to sense something or to tell the timing. So uh, these have to be very much shielded from the environment to cancel out everything else but what you are interested to measure
Mm-hmm.
and or what you are for example, in terms of atomic clock, you really have to keep every environmental effect away. For example, temperature fluctuations or laser frequency drips.
Mm-hmm.
So see, these have to be kept silent while still operating in a rugged environment. This is possible in a lab environment where you can engineer everything from humidity to temperature to
Mm-hmm.
magnetic shielding. But deploying these in challenging conditions in a cost effective and in a really good let's say swap format, so size,
Mm-hmm.
weight, and power format is
Mm-hmm.
the challenge, and reaching that level of compression in terms of technology
Mm-hmm.
uh, is what will take time. So what I envision is firstly there will be a box which will consume power a bit more, and then as this box is tested and validated, and the lessons learned from testing that hardware out will lead to the size getting smaller. Uh, yeah, so and also a lot of or almost all of quantum applications require lasers and atoms or molecules.
Mm-hmm.
So lasers particularly they can be really challenging to work with, especially if you are working in the visible range and not in the telecom band. They can be a challenge to work with. And also, I think you'll probably later discuss about supply chains, but just even if you have a laser from anywhere, which is working in the blue band, for example,
Mm-hmm.
managing this laser to maintain its frequency, to maintain its power uh, is not an easy task by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the challenges uh, that can come in the way of an early deployment.
I see. That's very insightful. Dr. Bhartwal, if you can elaborate, but also if I can ask you a question just in your elaboration, is it different? Does it make it particularly hard for quantum systems given how fragile they are? Does that also add to the challenge with just taking care of noise and keeping coherence since you also work on quantum memories?
Yeah, so as Dr. J was mentioning, like one of the major challenge here is to whatever we are doing is in a very controlled environment of like a particular temperature, humidity, and other elemental factors and all. And like we are basically working on a like a heavy, like tons of weight of like optical table and all, which are like considered to be very stable and all. So the major challenge is to take them out in the real world and how do they perform in the real world actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then another bigger challenge which he mentioned was the size, weight, and the power dissipation there. So one of the major thing is to try to reduce the size of the sensor as well. So when we like say talk of a magnetometer, ultimately it has to be sitting next to my heart, or it has to be sitting
Mm-hmm.
inside a submarine or in a plane or some such thing, and then they'll be moving. There are all kind of animal factors playing there. So it has to be as small as possible, very much movable, and so
Mm-hmm.
that we can use it for like say for a GPS navigation or more such niche applications and all. And so like that's where our semiconductor industry actually can play a very
Mm-hmm.
major role, and that's what I see it like. So right now what we are doing is we are just doing working on free space optics, where we take a mirror or a lens or a PBS or some such things and all, and then we fill up our optical table. this has to go down to a chip scale kind of a setup where like a PICs, we talk of like photonic integrated circuits and all, chips and all. So it has to ultimately boil down to that level where we basically have a laser being the laser light being generated by such microstructures,
Mm-hmm.
and then even the optical pathways are being created by these microstructures or nanostructures or MEMS, what these are called, and even for atomic sense, atomic vapor cells, they do come in small, very nano sizes or micro sizes as well. So
Mm-hmm.
these have to be we have to go to that level. Like, so if I'm talking about a gravimeter, which I worked on, this was a 4-floor building basically. Yeah. So it was a 12-meter fountain. So I cannot take that around and then measure gravity with that. Okay. So that's not possible, definitely. So I need to basically like make it miniaturize, make it small and all. And that's where the semiconductor industry can play a very major role.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad you brought up the semiconductor industry because this is also then a nice segue to the last part of our conversation on supply chains. Um, so if we can start with you, Dr. Mangaonkar, and following this, what we've been talking about now, in order to miniaturize or in order to, um, say, have titanium doped sapphire lasers, but on a chip, what does that look like? Do we have the supply chain domestically to do that? Where are we in terms of infrastructure? What are the biggest challenges? Can you broadly tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the biggest supply chain hurdles, as Dr. Sachin mentioned, is laser diodes.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, most of these quantum applications are working or using lasers somewhere, and unfortunately, India does not make its own laser diode. So that's the biggest vulnerability in the supply chain right there, which the semiconductor mission can surely
Mm-hmm.
consider, and right steps can be taken in that direction, because ultimately any let's say customization that has to be done in terms of miniaturization of any quantum sensing or quantum metrology application has to, let's say, you envision it like a chip, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the base layers of the chip is a laser. So this laser cannot be just simply bought and then you build hardware on it. India must have capability to uh, fabricate such devices at a chip base uh, first, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then one can think about adding stacks on the chip to,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, one of the things that Dr. Sachin was talking about is vapor cells. So
Mm-hmm.
fabricating a vapor cell on top of a laser diode is like the next challenge. But firstly, the laser diode has to be made in India. And in terms of the current political scenario and the potential of quantum technologies in critical infrastructure and critical applications like defense, a lot of countries which supply these products can easily cut us off from
Mm-hmm.
supplying us laser diodes. During my PhD, we had seen such an example where high power blue laser diode uh, can be really hard to get if you are not from certain geographical parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think lasers have to be made in India. Regarding titanium sapphire development, also such lasers can also be made on chip, and we'll be talking to uh, academic partners who have capabilities to develop single crystal growth in India
Mm-hmm.
to enable miniaturization of such lasers in the future. But yeah, titanium sapphire laser is a multi-stage laser where it itself requires lasers to work. So those lasers
Right.
are semiconductor lasers, which again we
Mm-hmm.
rely on foreign countries to source them. So filling this gap is one of the most pressing requirements right now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and also in terms of vapor cells,
Mm-hmm.
in that sector, we are seeing some developments which are happening from DRDO, from ISRO,
Mm-hmm.
from some commercial startups that are coming up to make MEMS-based vapor cells in India.
Mm-hmm.
So in that direction, I can see the grass roots growing slowly, and
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll, as a country, we'll be able to close that gap in the coming years or
Mm-hmm.
soon. Yeah, that
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
talk.
Okay.
Just to
Mm-hmm.
add to what Dr. J was
Mm-hmm.
talking about the MEMS cell
Mm-hmm.
development, I'll just mention that we are in actually collaboration with ISRO, where they did this development of this MEMS cell, the rubidium based
Mm-hmm.
MEMS cell, and
Mm-hmm.
we did the characterization for them. So doing the fundamental like spectroscopic part of it and all.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is happening, and this is kind of, I'll say, for me as a like a quantum optics person, is heartening
Mm-hmm.
to know that
Mm-hmm.
things are going in the right direction, at least in
Mm-hmm.
this the in this part of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we've spoken about the vapor cells and from the from so optics wise and also laser diodes which require some semiconductor capability. Are there any other choke points that you would like to add to this list that are quite critical for India?
Uh, okay, so the only thing which remains now is the ultra high vacuum systems. So
Mm-hmm.
we do need. So when I talk of like say a rubidium vapor cell and all,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking in terms of like where I have a cell which has only rubidium inside, nothing else. Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
basically first evacuate the whole system and then
Mm-hmm.
fill in the rubidium inside and then do the experimental test. That's
Mm-hmm.
when it will work as per the quantum this thing. Yeah. So, like ultra high vacuum systems are the one of the major ingredients of
Mm-hmm.
any of these quantum technology verticals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that we have been devising these vacuum chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, like in my initial days of research, we were importing them from different countries. We are still doing that, but then other than that, there are quite a few companies which are coming up with like very good standard ultra high
Mm-hmm.
vacuum chambers and other accessories for it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one good thing. But then we need to actually, like as I was saying, like we need to go in the path of miniaturization. So where we
Mm-hmm.
actually talk of like very small, like MEMS technology based kind of vacuum systems and all. So we need to, and then there again, the semiconductor industry can play an important role there. So
Mm-hmm.
where we do a very mini vacuum chamber or some such thing, and like rather than talking about of a meter long or meter high quantum gravimeter or some such
Mm-hmm.
or even an atomic clock, we can have a very like a small package, like a few by few kind of a size of a atomic clock or a
Mm-hmm.
gravimeter or some such thing. So yeah, so ultra high vacuum system requirement is another one of the main this thing here.
Indeed. And just for completeness sake, I will ask you, I understand that atom-based quantum hardware might not require cooling, but then can you tell us a little bit about cryogenics as an allied industry and not just the entire beautiful dilution refrigerator, but also the smaller cryostats? Where is India on that?
Okay, so I'm again not the right person to talk on this, but like so, the dilution refrigerator and cryogenics requirement happens when you are mainly talking about the quantum computers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where you need to basically go down to very low temperatures and perform the various qubit generation, qubit operations, and like gate operations and all. So we are kind of is dependent on like mostly these are imported systems, these the cryogenic systems and all. But we are I know of like a few academic institutions which are actually have built these cryogenic systems from the scratch as well. So there are some such activities happening as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
and they are important as far as quantum computers are concerned, like going in a particular way. Like there are different ways of doing a quantum computer. You can do it with an ion, trapped ion,
Right.
or you can
Mm-hmm.
trap atoms or
Mm-hmm.
other things as well. So where you need a cryogenic is like one kind of this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where this will be useful. So I'll not say we are prepared or we are even half, like we are kind of starting in this stage, but we need to do it more faster. But
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are actually working on like academic institutions which are actually working on doing these things indigenously.
Right, right. Dr. Mangamkar, do you have anything to add, maybe on cryogenics, but also if this list of critical choke points that I've mentioned, is there anything else we're missing, do you think?
Uh, yeah, I think that Dr. Sachin covered a lot of it, and not an expert in cryogenics, but there is actually one of the startups which was funded by the NQM
Mm-hmm.
is Demira Technologies, which are working on radio frequency cabling for
Mm-hmm.
work under cryogenic environment.
Right.
So I think we are definitely moving in the right direction to fabricate our own internal cryogenic hardware when it comes to quantum technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And for vacuum, yes, we are making our own vacuum hardware in some capacity, but there are a lot of critical requirements there. So for example, if you have an atomic system, you need to isolate it using vacuum, but you also need to shine lasers on the
Right.
atoms. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way to do this is to have something called as optical viewports, which we do not, as a country, have the technological know-how to make. So that
Mm-hmm.
requires knowledge of bonding glass to metal, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something which, if developed in some lab in India, has not reached a commercial
Mm-hmm.
endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then again, a lot of quantum experiments require ultra pure uh, samples of, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you want to trap rubidium, you need
Mm-hmm.
really pure sample of rubidium, which to begin with, which is broken inside a vacuum chamber. So that is still something that that gap can probably be plugged in with some know-how from chemistry, which is in India, but
Mm-hmm.
again, not has not been ended in a commercial uh, way. You can't
Mm-hmm.
procure this from any Indian vendor,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and we also uh, lack a little bit on developing electronics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do develop a lot of good electronics hardware, but for particular applications, we need to retool this technology for enabling, for example, precision
Mm-hmm.
voltage sources or precision current sources. So
Right.
maybe the know-how for developing these exists in
Mm-hmm.
in, in Indian industry related to electronics, but again, when you go
Mm-hmm.
to the market to buy such products, you do not see any Indian company which is selling these. So
Mm-hmm.
it has to be made. There are now startups which are like a few days ago I heard of one such startup which is funded. Uh, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be made a little bit better in
Got it. Makes sense. So indeed, I think just in this conversation, we've made a big list of allied sectors that are extremely critical to the development of quantum technology. So thank you so much. And in the interest of time, now I will move on to questions. If anybody in the audience, if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and ask. I'm also happy to read them out if you put them in the chat. So we can move on to question answers now. I can already see one in the chat. Anuj is asking, could you please confirm this understanding? QLabs and QPryog are designing their product lines along a modular cross-domain architecture where the core quantum component remain consistent in form factor and interface. So domain-specific customization is applied only at the last mile, typically through software adapters, edge connectors, or configuration profiles. So I guess the question is, does this make sense? Is this understanding correct? Dr. Bhartwal, would you like to?
Um, it's not exactly like that. So we there are as I was telling before also, like there are three major verticals in quantum technology. One is quantum computing, one is communication, and the third one is quantum sensing. Yeah. So when I talk of, like, say for instance quantum sensing, I my intention is to basically sense some physical parameter which can which is important in various applications, be it healthcare or be it like defense or like other sectors, navigation sector or any other domain. Yeah. So I do a back calculation. So like it's not like that we do certain things which are kind of commonly done, and then at the end of the day we like make some software to like basically make it more relevant to one particular kind of industry. So like if I'm talking about, say, healthcare sector, like say if I talk of imaging my brain waves, which typically gives a magnetic field of the order of like femtotesla, which is like 10 to the minus 15 teslas. So I need to work on a magnetometer. I need to work on the scheme of magnetic field sensing, which can like measure that kind of, which can have that kind of sensitivity. Like, so I need to choose the right kind of rubidium, like right kind of atoms or right kind of a laser, which has the right kind of line weights. And then I need to select a particular kind of transition, which is most suited for doing this kind of measurement. Then there are things like when I'm talking about a magnetometer for healthcare sector, I need to be sitting very near to the subject. Like, so if I want to measure the waves of my heart, I have to be as near as possible to it. So the form factor also plays important role. This is what we call as standoff distance, like how far we can I can be away, or how near I can be to the subject to measure this thing. So like it's not like a simple thing of like doing a common thing and then making it align with one particular industry. So like it basically starts from choosing the laser, choosing the right atom, choosing the right transition, choosing the right procedure of like scheme of event, and then at the end of the day, I come up with a quantum sensor or any other device, basically. Yeah.
Dr. Mangaonkar, would you like to add anything to that?
He's on mute, I guess.
Yeah, you're muted if you're trying to say something. Okay,
Sorry, is the question to me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
just if you wanted to add something.
Yeah. Sorry. So I was not able to hear anything for like the past few seconds. So apologies for that. Uh, uh, Fortunately, uh, atomic clocks do enjoy in this particular regard that they just simply have an output which is typically working at 10 megahertz or 100 megahertz. So the only thing that is to be decided is the form factor. If the application requires a miniature form factor, then the atomic clock has to be designed in that way. But more or less, it comes in in a standard size, which can be put on a chip, or if it's a bigger one, then it can be put on a rack, and its
Mhm.
only job is to supply timing signals. Of course, the end application has to be thought about, but that will be more to do with electronics.
Mhm. I think we lost you there, Dr. Mangaonkar. Oops.
Deliver. So the clock job is to just output a sine wave which is very stable in frequency. Uh, uh, but yeah, as Dr. Sachin said, for other applications with sensing, such things have to be thought of.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I will take one more question from Anuj and then we'll move on to the other participants as well. So this is quite interesting. Are you benefiting from the semiconductor mission, um, given how close it is and how important it is, how important semiconductor industry is in the development of quantum technologies?
Okay, so I'll take this up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely, as I was telling previously as well, like the semiconductor industry plays a very important role here. So like if I talk of the semiconductor industry, if I like just summarize it in like few words, it'll be like going from a fab to like developing various materials to packaging of the thing, like miniaturize it, things like that, and then the supply chain aspect. So these things are important as far as the sensing is like sensing or other things are also concerned. Like as I was telling before, also that PIC, what are called the photonic integrated chips.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be put in place in terms of like so in place of a so that I can basically in place of a using a big optical table, which I can do it in my lab inside my lab. I need to take this sensor outside. So it has to be a very small size, this thing, and then it has to be very stable in terms of alignment and other aspects. And so like there, the semiconductor industry plays very important role. And basically integrating all these various individual modules and all, like be it a detector, be it like a laser beam or like an atomic system and even a vacuum chamber and all. So it has to be packaged in a very small form factor. So that's where the semiconductor industry plays important role. Yeah.
I see, indeed. Dr. Mangaonkar, would you like to add anything?
No, so mostly Dr. Sachin has mentioned more or less everything in every way that the semiconductor industry can. As I mentioned previously, the biggest contribution would be the development of a laser diode at working at several all wavelengths of interest, which are for quantum applications, and also detectors, which are very crucial for any quantum application.
Okay. Got it. The next question, thanks, Anuj, for your questions. I will come back to your third question if we have time. But Praveen asks, we see traditional fields like BE, BTech, and BSc. What are ways to get into quantum technologies if we don't get this particular discipline? And I think if you could say a bit about how you got into quantum technologies yourself, that would be quite interesting.
Okay, so just to tell you something good about our like some of the recent developments which are happening in academia is government as well as various top institutions like IITs, ISC, DIIT Pune as well. They are actually running programs in quantum technology, BTechs, MTechs. I think mostly MTechs, I guess. So which are more aligned to the like quantum technology in terms of like we do have people, a lot of people actually are working for us from DIIT Pune, and there are a few which will be joining from ISC Bangalore as well. So there are quite a few institutions across India which are like offering these courses in quantum technology. So like what is the second part of the question? Is that?
No, just how to get into this field?
Yeah, so
Like,
these
yeah,
are
that's
like,
pretty much,
yeah,
yeah.
so these are some of the things, and then probably the path is through probably gate and like, or maybe they have their own entrances and all. So that is there, and then second thing is like, as far as I was concerned, like I like when I joined ISC, like so I started my career in, like as I said, like the atomic physics lab, probably the first atomic physics lab in India, Professor Vasant Natarajan's lab. So we did like most of these experiments. They do come in what is called a precision measurement experiments, like where we actually measure the frequencies to very high precision and all. And then recently, what has happened is like whatever we have learned in those experiments and all, they are being used and utilized in the quantum technology domain. Like so that way, so we did not had a have a like a quantum technology MTech or some. So I'm a PhD in physics only. So, but we learned these techniques and the experimental things during our like PhD or post PhD work. Like.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Mangaonkar, what was your path and what is your general comment on specializing into quantum with different backgrounds?
Yeah, so might be breaking up in voice a little bit, but I'll still try. Uh,
Yeah.
Regarding students, I fortunately a lot of quantum devices are classical in like there is a lot of classical engineering to be done, a good classical engineering to be done, and the core aspect is quantum. So any education in physics specializing in quantum mechanics would be of particular help, and a good uh, certainly a good electronics background or a good
Mm-hmm.
mechanical engineering background does help, irrespective of quantum education, furthering the requirements of the industry. And certain aspects like quantum computing and communication, of course, do require specialized understanding of quantum mechanics. So, uh, but yeah, fortunately, there are a lot of programs which are there
Mm-hmm.
where one can enroll uh,
Mm-hmm.
where just made on quantum mechanics learning should be good enough to,
Yeah.
Just to add
yeah,
one small thing here is
Mm-hmm.
I'll just mention a special thing about like from AICT it has come. So they have
Mm-hmm.
actually devised a framework of the like
Mm-hmm.
course, and it has been given to various educational institutions which are developing these BTech programs and all.
Mm-hmm.
So there are developments happening in that aspect also. So not only these like upper institutions like higher institutions like ISCs and IITs and all, there are other I know quite a few of them. They are actually like running these courses or trying to start these courses in their
Mm-hmm.
undergrad or master's programs, and this is
Indeed.
again being pushed by AICTE. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And I'm sure there's courses on NPTEL. So, in the interest of time, I will
Yes.
not ask the education related questions
Mhm.
from Niveta and M. But yeah, and generally, even if you're not a student, if you're a professional and want to switch careers, there's a lot of resources. I know that Q Labs also has an academy, and there's other QETCI does a lot of educational work. So, I urge you to check that out. And I will continue with the other questions, but if the audience, if you have any particular questions, particularly on allied sectors, that would be more relevant to our discussion. So if anybody wants to raise their hand or put it in the chat, please feel free to. In the meantime, I will ask this question from Advik. What's your perspective on the feasibility of room temperature quantum devices beyond memory, that is processors or sensors? And I think from our conversation, what we've gathered is we don't really require cryogenic temperatures, but if you would like to elaborate, Dr. Mangaonkar and Bhartwal.
yeah. So a lot of quantum sensing and computing applications do not require cryogenic temperatures, particularly if they are to do with atoms and atomic vapor cells.
Mhm.
So yeah, these are already being done or available with something called as laser cooling.
Mhm.
Uh, but everything from the lasers to the vacuum hardware is all at is all at room temperature.
Mhm.
Uh, so that is not a burden to
No,
worry about.
no, no. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dr. Bhartwal?
Yeah, just to add
Mhm.
something, which is kind of a so whenever people talk of quantum, they mostly will be referring to quantum computing actually, and
Mm.
then quantum computing as well as a particular part of quantum computing which actually needs cryogenics and things like that. So most of these quantum sensors, the magnetometer or gravimeter or an atomic clock, as Dr. J was mentioning, they are all at room temperatures, so they don't actually need this thing other than the laser cooling aspect. So where we actually have to slow down the atoms to very low velocities, which is in terms of temperature, it is called cooling.
Mhm.
So that is the only cooling part which is happening, and that doesn't need cryogenics and all. This is all happening in room temperature. So the only place which requires cryogenics is quantum computing, and that also one particular kind of like quantum computing. Yeah.
Mhm. Got it. Um, Advik, I will come to your questions about topological qubits or quantum error correction later if we have time. But Sanjay asks, at the current stage, what is the most fragile assumption in your system design that, if proven wrong, would force a fundamental rethink of your approach? I think this is quite broad. I don't know if you have any comments.
Uh, just to say something is like quantum mechanics is old, like much older than all of us, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like more than 100 years and all. So whatever we are actually doing is just trying to utilize those things, utilize those aspects of quantum mechanics which are tried and tested. So there is no, we are not doing any assumption or any such thing. Like so, uh, laser cooling was developed 40 years back. Like there are Nobel prizes on that. Like magnetometry and other things are also like quite a few quite old ideas and all. Only thing which is happening now is they are coming in the commercial and this thing aspects, and now there are like application happening from, and as per the day to day, like as the our society is growing, we are require our requirements of, like say for instance, GPS denied navigation, like in case of a war like situation or some such thing. These things are coming up slowly, and then we are kind of applying those fundamental aspects of quantum mechanics which are there from like time immemorial, I'll say. We are just using them. Okay, so we are not doing any assumption or any theories or any such things.
Okay. We have come to the end of this session, so I'm sorry if I cannot ask the other questions, but I hope everyone in the audience had a good session and insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhartwal and Dr. Mangaonkar, for taking time off. This was a extremely insightful session and we learned a lot. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Priya. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Dr. J.
you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.